B2B manufacturing marketing is a much more complex and technically complex craft to hone and to execute, because you as a marketer need to understand the key messages that each individual that have a share in that decision are looking for at each step along that purchasing journey.
Yeah, and if you sell to engineers, right, they just want to get a lot of information before they start asking the questions, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And the types of information that engineers are looking for, I think, is different than the types of information that your financial decision makers would be looking for. Your financial decision maker, maybe you want to talk about total cost of ownership. We always have a postmortem, what should, and I always ask these questions: what should we start doing? What should we stop doing? What should we keep doing?
Yeah.
And, that creates this kind of understanding of the event of what went well, what didn't, and, what we can improve upon. And I think those conversations are critical to have, and sometimes the most difficult to have.
Yeah, no, and you learn from everyone, right? I think every week, and if you don't, you need to set some other goals, right? Because it's important. No, but it's so important to improve.
Absolutely,
that everything should be the same.
I would say the number one piece of advice is don't discount the importance of building relationships.
You're listening to Leadership Manufacturing Podcast. I'm your host, Sanna Winding. I'm a strategic leader with over 20 years of experience in B2B marketing, product development, and also building high-impact leadership skills across teams. I'm passionate about sharing insights. I hope you can see it. And tools to help professionals enhance their leadership skills. In each episode, we discuss relevant topics for leaders like you and offering practical strategies and valuable insights. And all this is to help you become a much better leader and to drive success in your role. I interview professionals within the manufacturing industry and the distribution sector, and they all share their knowledge around leadership. So make sure to follow us and subscribe. Check out our YouTube channel. It's growing and exploding right now. So check out YouTube. Just search for Leadership in Manufacturing. Let's talk about the episode. What if the most effective marketing leader isn't the loudest voice in the room, but the one who listens the best? In this episode, I sit down with Baldwin. He's the Director of Corporate Marketing at United Grinding North America. And we talked about what it really takes to lead in manufacturing, especially when you balance in sales, engineering, and your different teams. And we unpacked how marketing becomes a true partner to sales, why alignment across departments drives real business outcomes, and how to lead through communication and not control. Jacob brings sharp insight from the front lines of a complex B2B marketing, and this episode is one you want to listen to, and this is the one for anyone working at the intersection of leadership, strategy, and manufacturing. Enjoy the episode. So I always love to get started to ask my guests, what excites them or what's their passion? Maybe that's a better word, right? About the industry. So what's your passion about the manufacturing industry?
So I've worked in manufacturing for about 11 years. And before that, I worked in a technology software as a service startup. And one of the many things that I love about the manufacturing industry is that we make tangible products. Certainly, there's a role in adding value to society with software and technology. But whenever you go to work every day and you see the products that your company is making, that your customers are using, and the value that those products are bringing to society, to me, it's just a much more gratifying field to be deploying my skills in marketing.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so I worked for a lighting company many years ago. And if I see this light outside, on the street, like street lighting, I'm like, oh, right, pointing and being so proud. Or if I see something getting built, I'm like seeing all the equipment around it. And then I'm like, okay, there's some bigger machines that actually created, these machines again, right? It's just like, how many times can you scale something? So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Let's dive a little bit into marketing because I want to learn more about that. So what's your leading, or how do you develop a marketing team? Because you need to make sure you have the right culture.
I completely agree. So my take on marketing is that it should be a service organization to the sales team. In some manufacturing companies, I would say marketing has the most prominent role, but let's say in a highly engineered If you're selling a highly engineered product like a CNC grinding machine, sales is at the front line. They're the ones talking to customers every day, helping them connect the value that our machine can bring and help connect those dots for how it'll
Yeah.
solve problems for them.
Yeah.
So whenever I think about marketing, I see it as a service organization to the sales team. What can we do to help the sales organization open more doors and close more deals?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important perspective to bring to a team culture.
Yeah.
Whenever people that I bring onto my team are aligned behind that, then all of a sudden, we're kind of marching to the same beat. We have the same. It's easier to prioritize when you've got multiple projects going on. Which one's going to have a larger impact on driving revenue, driving demand, and getting those orders in the door, opening up new markets, and just ultimately helping grow that sales pipeline. So whenever I think about building an organization, I think about how that organization can be best aligned to the culture of the wider organization and help the company achieve its goals.
Nice. What have you learned working closely with like sales and engineers and technical teams? How have you changed how you're leading, either a project, or how have you become better of communicating within these different cross teams?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think the most important way to approach this is understanding what each team is looking for. The engineering team will be looking for, one set of information. Let's use an example. If you're executing a trade show, so we go to the IMTS show every other year. It's the biggest trade show that we do in North America. And it involves many teams. You've got your engineering team, you've got your sales team, you've got your executives, you've got purchasing, you've got operations. All of those teams are all looking for different pieces of information. Yeah. And I think in the leadership role in that position, the best thing that you can do is anticipate what each team in the organization is going to be looking for. Yeah. Your sales guys are going to be wanting to know what machines are we showing, what are the applications that we're going to be showing in these machines, what are the key messages that we should be telling customers, when are we getting brochures, what communications are going out, when are they going out, what channels are they going on. The sales guys want to know all of that information. Yeah. Your operations guys are going to say, okay, when do we need to have the wiring finished for these machines? What peripheral equipment do we need to send with those machines? How are we going to organize these on trucks to get them to the show? Your executives want more high-level information. What is our pre-show registration levels? What's the evening event look like? All of this stuff. So to kind of wrap that up, I think the most important thing is just anticipating what each organization is looking for, and then tailoring the messages that you're delivering to the audiences that you're delivering to. It's one of the core concepts in marketing, and you got to do it every day with internal communications as well.
Yeah, it's like the understanding, right? Who you're talking to, or where it's going, right? And then listen well, right? And then make sure that you communicate everything well, so everybody understands it. And I'm sure you have to repeat some of it, right?
Oh, all the time. So one of my favorite things to think about is, tell people what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. Yeah. And then do it like 3 more times. And then, you're still going to get questions, but at least you've covered all your bases. And I think it's just a good, repetition to me is the standard protocol of internal communications and external communications for that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's also good to use different words, right? Even though it's maybe 80% of what you just said before, but if you just change a little bit, so you're getting that, okay, now they actually understood it, right?
Absolutely.
The second
yeah,
the third time.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, so how is your company culture? Can you describe how that looks right now?
Yeah. We have a great culture at United Grinding. We have our CEO, Marcus Stolmar. He is, one of the most approachable guys. He'll walk around the building, he'll stop and talk to everybody, knows everybody by name. We have a culture committee that I honestly also sit on called the Employee Satisfaction Team. And we are responsible for planning, culture driving events for the company. And so we do a lot of fun things for our employees. We'll do the first day of summer, cookout. We've got a gas grill in the back patio that's built in and very nice. We'll grill burgers for everybody. We'll have Cinco de Mayo, like taco trucks come. We'll have
it's all
company
about
picnic
the food,
every
right?
summer.
Yeah.
It's all about food. Exactly. But at the start of football season, we'll do like a football tailgate. Of course, grilling food, but we'll do like a pass and kick contest and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, aside from like the fun, like let's say like the vanity, like culture things that I think almost every company tries to do now.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think I most respect about the culture here at United Grinding is the fact that we have many discrete departments that all work very closely together.
Yeah.
To deliver a premium experience for our customers.
Yeah.
So whenever somebody orders a CNC grinding machine, it is not a small purchase.
No.
And so there is an expectation that comes with that. There's an expectation of, high quality or a high frequency of communication. Oftentimes, if customers order a machine from the factory, it takes 8 months before it gets built and delivered. So it's a very long lead time for that delivery.
Yeah.
So I think communication is a very important thing to happen, during that period. But most importantly, a lot of the machines that we sell require customization for the machines to produce the parts that the customer needs to produce.
Yeah.
So you've got engineering, you've got logistics, you've got application engineers who are designing processes and ordering components and installing. You got the production team out there installing tooling into the machine. Then we've got to run it off. All of that it's almost like a symphony.
Yeah.
And so communication, transparency, trust. All of these are I would say core components of culture at United Grinding.
Yeah. What about when we all learn, right? So I'm sure you have some customers saying, hey, you could communicate better, right? Or this was a hiccup, right? Do this better next time. Or maybe they say it differently. Sometimes I'm saying if somebody gives you like negative feedback, right? Say it's a gift so you can turn it around and actually make it much better next time when you have a new customers. So how do you turn that kind of feedback in and make it even better for the next customer?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't personally get feedback from our customers. I'm like on the marketing side, but if I talk about this question from, let's say, like internal customers, if we're doing an event, or if we've got, if we're doing a trade show, if we have an event here at our building, we always have a postmortem. What should, and I always ask these questions: what should we start doing? What should we stop doing? What should we keep doing?
Yeah.
And that creates this kind of understanding of the event, of what went well, what didn't, and what we can improve upon. And I think those conversations are critical to have, and sometimes the most difficult to have, because there's so much effort, so much blood, sweat, and tears that goes into executing some of these events and customer experiences, that it's difficult to sit back and be objective and think about it, just because it just, ruled your life for 6 months or 12 months or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But, I think that's, it's an important learning, aside from just the postmortem. It's just, developing that ability to, remove yourself from that emotional seat and put yourself in an objective seat and be able to realize, something didn't go well. What can we do next time to improve and have those difficult conversations?
Yeah, no, right. And sometimes also like if it's prioritization, or you can say like nice to have and must have, right? Because nice to have is maybe not giving you that return on investment that you wanted, because you should have focused on, the must have to execute on these different projects.
For sure. One example is at the end of this month, we're getting ready to have our United Grinding Precision Summit 2025. And so we do this event every other year. And it is our open house event where we have, live grinding demos set up all throughout our showroom and on our production floor. We bring customers in from all over North America for 2 days of technical training.
Nice.
We have keynote speakers. We're having economists come in to talk about the future of manufacturing and all of this stuff. I think it's very, very important to consider improvements in future events for sure.
Yeah. No, and you learn from everyone, right? I think every week, and if you don't, you need to set some other goals, right? Because it's important. No, but it's so important to improve.
Absolutely.
That everything should be the same. Okay, I want to ask you a little bit about marketing in manufacturing. What's different, right? Because I think if I talk to friends that's not in this industry, they're like, what are you doing? So why is it so different from other industries?
So let's say specifically from a perspective of B2B, right?
Yeah.
So the purchasing process is, let's say, driven more by a committee than an individual. So if you think about, one of the common terms people throw around is this idea of this customer journey. There are in B2B manufacturing, there are many people that are along that journey at the same time.
Yeah.
You've got, you could be a project manager, it could be an engineer, it could be a business owner, your financial decision maker, it could be a machine operator. And there's many different people all influencing that decision.
Yeah.
And so I would say that in B2B manufacturing, marketing is a much more complex and technically complex craft to hone and to execute, because you as a marketer need to understand the key messages that each individual that have a share in that decision are looking for at each step along that purchasing journey, right? So I've worked in B2C at the SaaS agency. It was, we're trying to sell call credits or, just, quick transactions. You can buy it online. You can renew monthly. It was quick turn and burn kind of stuff. There was a B2B component to it, but it was primarily, self-serve and all of this. So, that marketing action to transaction feedback loop was much faster than what we see in B2B.
Yeah, and if you sell to engineers, right, they just want to get a lot of information before they start asking the questions, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And the types of information that engineers are looking for, I think, is different than the types of information that your financial decision makers could be looking for. Your financial decision maker, maybe you want to talk about total cost of ownership. You want to talk about, reliability and service and spare parts availability. That way they're like, oh, this machine is going to be up and producing, and if it goes down, they're going to be able to get it back up quicker. Whereas your engineers, what are the specifications of surface finish quality, or how wide is the machine? The machining.
Yeah, all more technical. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably one of the biggest differences in B2C versus B2B, specifically in manufacturing, is just understanding all of the different roles that each person has to play, and how your product has benefits that can appeal to each of those people along that journey.
I like that. It is. I think to understand, right? If it's procurement, is the engineer, right? Is it purchasing, right? Sitting there and need to review anything on what are they going to buy or to invest in, even to bring out their products and bring them to market, right? So
absolutely. And to add to that, one of the, let's say, more interesting challenges that we have to deal with here at United Grinding is We are selling machines that our customers will use to make parts for their customers,
Yeah.
right? And so this video shoot I was telling you about that we're doing tomorrow is we're highlighting several components that our machines can make,
Yeah.
but we're not making those components.
Yeah.
We're showing our customers what's possible, our customers and prospects what's possible with our technology.
Yeah.
So whenever a lot of people think about manufacturing, they think about, oh, this company, makes parts or stamps parts, so there's high volume. There's not high volume in CNC grinding. It's a very niche industry, even within a niche industry of manufacturing. And so, it is a bit of an exercise to understand how you can create content that helps people understand your products in a way that they couldn't necessarily understand unless they see the actual the work piece or
see the opportunities, right? And give them some of that ideas to spark and saying, hey, if you have this kind of machine in your manufacturing, it opens up a lot of opportunities, and I'm sure it's for time to deliver, right? Their product. Bring it to market, right? There's like speeds, the reliability. There's a lot of things. Maybe cutting out so you don't have, I don't know, 5 under sub manufacturing. You get imports from or OEM. There's so many things, right? I'm sure you have to talk about.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just a much more complex conversation, right? Yeah.
I'm just pausing the episode for a few seconds. I want to make sure we have a newsletter. Go to leadershipinmanufacturing.com, sign up for the newsletter. Then you're in the loop when we have new episodes or we have new leadership skills that we want to share and you should learn. So be sure to check it out. Back to the show. What about, storytelling, right? I think with marketing, I'm in marketing. So it's just like the whole storytelling, how it sounds easy when you're like watching something or you see a really bad commercial and you're like, oh my God, I could have done that better, right? How do you spark that storytelling? And you just mentioned it a little bit as well, right? To say, showing the examples of what this machine can be used for and how the benefits of it, right? And the features and stuff like that. But how do you get to there to say, okay, this is the storytelling I want? Is it working with the engineers, the sales, or are you amazing creative? So you're just saying, this is what we do, and then you get the whole team together.
Yeah. So we just launched in 2024 our, let's say, our next generation storytelling platform for United Grinding North America. It was actually the theme of our IMTS booth, and it was called Unstoppable Grit. And there are some really important core tenets of a story that is going to produce the most amazing results. Number one, you got to show your product. People got to understand what it does.
Yeah.
Number two, you've got to be authentic, and you've got to not oversell it. You've got to create a space that you're telling a believable story, and you're not just storytelling. You're showing examples and etc.
Yeah.
But the most important component of the story, I think, is the customer. So if we're able to kind of frame the technology that we bring to the table, the infrastructure that we have available in North America, and the services that we provide over and above the technology, in the framework of a customer kind of sharing that on their behalf, that is the most impactful story to be telling, period. So that's why we created this concept of unstoppable grit. And it's got a little bit of a play on words. If you think about grinding wheel, like CNC grinding machines, there are grinding wheels that go inside of these machines, and there's different styles of grinding wheels. They're made of different materials, but they all have grit inside of them. So there's that play on words, but also grit is one of those, let's say, intangible characteristics that an individual possesses that kind of helps them overcome challenges, and whenever things get hard, grit is what helps drive them through.
Yeah.
And it's prominent in all of our customers because grinding is one of the most difficult types of manufacturing to do. So you would not choose to go into this industry or into this space if you didn't have that grit. So that's why the words unstoppable grit were such a phenomenal pair of words to kind of wrap around this.
Yeah.
But basically what we did is we went out into the field. We took a video crew. We found 4 customers who were willing to participate in this national, kind of advertising campaign.
Yeah.
We went in there. We interviewed them. We figured out what their story was, and then we created written content. We created video content, and then we created graphics that went inside of our IMTS booth to really kind of put our customers on that pedestal, tell their stories. And not necessarily tell their stories, but help our customers tell their own stories at a higher level, and, this created that authenticity that, is one of the requisites for a meaningful story. And it also talked about how they're doing incredible things with our machines and overcoming challenges, which is what manufacturing is all about. So that was one of the most meaningful storytelling narratives that we created. And it was so meaningful, in fact, that we have changed our customer testimonial program into Unstoppable Grit Stories.
Nice.
And so, we're getting ready to go next week to film another one up in Wisconsin. And I just love this new framework that we're able to kind of help our customers elevate their stories on this platform.
I love it. And I love the name you got for it as well. And I'm sure as well, by getting the customer telling it, what it did for them in their words, if you loop that back as well, right? That can create so much more marketing material, or loop it back to say, hey, that's another way of explaining it. So a customer maybe can understand it much easier, right? Because sometimes you can, technical words is good, it's not that, but sometimes you just need a different way of telling it. So you get that attention, or you're saying, oh yeah, now I get it, right?
For sure. Yeah. The customer shares their experience in their own story. Or in their own words. And then, they share the challenge that they were, faced with. And then they share how United Grinding Machines and people and support help them overcome that challenge. And it's just an amazing pairing.
Yeah. What about with digital marketing? Because with video, right, there's so much more video coming out on different platforms. How you put it out, if you put it on LinkedIn, if it's on YouTube, it's on your website. And I think the quality of, if it's just from your phone, or if you have the real equipment there, right, it has changed. You don't have the same expectation anymore. So how do you get the customer in front of the camera and actually get them to calm down and saying, this is going to be great?
So every customer video shoot that we do, I am personally attending. We have a video crew that we contract with out of Cincinnati that goes on the road, whether it's in California or Canada or, wherever, Mexico. I mean, they go all over.
Nice.
Yeah. And they produce, very high quality cinematic grade, footage, and their model is amazing. But basically, to answer your question, and this is what I was doing a little earlier today. We've got this video shoot tomorrow. There's always nerves associated with the video shoot, but you've got to help people understand that, look, I mean, everybody feels these nerves before a video shoot. And that's the beauty of video, is that you can have a bad cut. You can learn from it. You can have another take. And, if we need to break it up into even smaller chunks, we can have, maybe 5 or 6 takes and take the parts that we like from each one and kind of put it together, throw some B-roll on top of it. You'll never be able to tell the difference. So I think, just having a very relaxed set, like very low pressure, keeping it light, and don't try to coach people too much with the specific words that you want them to say. As a marketer, I like to think that I've got away with words, but I mean, like I said earlier, authenticity is one of the most important things to put on camera. So you don't want to make somebody say something in a way that they wouldn't say.
Yeah, if it's not their word, right? If that's that, you use it. Yeah, hey, come on, right? I screwed up a word before, so it helps. So are you good at like taking behind the scenes or like outtakes as well? Because that's not that you should share that every week, but sometimes that is also fun to see and can actually grab attention of that customer base, right? Or who's actually interested in your product.
That's something that I've thought about for sure. But with so many unknowns. We've got, it takes work to get people in front of the camera. They're nervous because they want to look good, and so like I've not shared an outtake reel, just because I don't want to create any situation where the customer or whoever
no, maybe not customer,
or ourselves, we're a company full of engineers, like a bunch of introverts that I've got to coax in front of the camera sometimes. And so I just want to make them feel as comfortable as possible and just put the highest, quality, material out there that's going to make them and the company look as good.
No, and I get it. Yeah, I get it. So and maybe it's easier, right? If it's just you looked at yourself, right? And you did something in front of the camera, right? And you're like, okay, I can share that because I know it's me, right? I'm not hurting his feelings about it or around it.
Exactly. Yeah.
No. Okay, how do you learn? I want to hear about that because again, with digital marketing, right, things goes faster and faster. That's AI, and how do you keep on top of the trends?
Yeah. So I there's a couple of things that I do. I mean, some of the most important learnings that I get, honestly, comes from people that I follow on social media. I mean, there are thought leaders in the industry that have a foot in tomorrow, and if you can kind of learn from them, follow them, figure out what direction things are going from their perspective, it kind of helps you flavor your own perspective. But one of the things that I also think is important is looking at, beyond the flash in the pan, AI is not a flash in the pan, but how people are using it today might be, and so I think it's important to not get so, tied down into what's important today as much as it is what are the implications of this technology and how it's going to impact our ability to connect with customers tomorrow, and how that's going to impact our customers' lives tomorrow. And so, whenever it comes to, like new marketing techniques and, new social channels that spin up, or, now people are, building AI agents to write emails to people that are automated and they're feeding into CRMs. And I mean, they are just like taking this to like the 10th degree without even considering, how does it impact the customer's life? I think, you could read something and tell if AI wrote it. I could. Maybe I think everybody probably could. But I think it's important to still maintain that close connection with the customers, to understand feedback loops like we were talking about earlier. I mean, if we have an AI agent executing all of our marketing communications or some of our marketing communications, you just lose that personal connection. I'm not a huge component of that. But to me, there's a whole other side of learning, outside of, today's trends, that I think is equally as important as learning about today's trends. And that's on the kind of the economic side of manufacturing specifically. There are, macroeconomic signals that, have clear patterns. There are leading indicators that kind of help you understand if automotive is getting ready to go into demand in the next couple of years. How do we want to tailor our messaging to our audiences based on that macroeconomic data? Automotive, aerospace, the new space industry, there's tons of manufacturing that's supporting that. Medical, agricultural equipment, construction equipment. I mean, all of these things have clear macro trends. And so what I do to kind of stay plugged in there's a conference I go to every year called MT Forecast. And they've got economists that present on these macro trends, and there's industrial deep dives that you can go into to learn about specific industries, defense, et cetera. That kind of help you understand what the future may look like. And I think that probably will have a bit more of a return, let's say, or there's a little more strategy, I would say, in kind of planning, marketing execution for a manufacturing organization, around those types of data points.
Yeah. No, I like that actually you stay up to date, especially going right to this kind of conference and actually staying up to date.
Absolutely. One funny thing that happened to me is and I'm not like, I'm not sticking my head in the ground about AI. I went out to a conference last September in San Francisco, and I was the only manufacturing person there. All these people were from Silicon Valley. They said, there are companies like you that still exist. And I'm like, dude, yeah, absolutely. We're everywhere.
No.
Yeah, like our machines are making components that go inside of your computers. It's just really crazy. And then on the other side, I was at another conference in March, and AI was also a very significant topic. Which is like I said earlier, I think that there is a lot to learn. There's a lot of development that needs to happen before it's ready for prime time. I think beta users, I think early adopters, I think this is a great time to kind of get in there and experiment. Yeah, definitely. I've got pro memberships to all of the major, large language models and all of this. And I've done AI video editing and all of this. But I think there's a long way to go still.
Yeah. It will, like, one day at a time, right? Paving the road and then see where everything ends. But let's keep it
for sure
as well. It's so important, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I want to ask you about, if you look at somebody that's starting within this industry, right? In the manufacturing industry, and it could be if it was in your marketing team, what kind of advice would you give like a newcomer?
And again, it would depend on the product that your company is selling. Right. And who your target customers are. But if I take my current role as an example, CNC grinding equipment, large capital purchases, I would say the number one piece of advice is don't discount the importance of building relationships. Not just, in the industry, but also, within your company, and then also building the relationship with the customers that you're serving, and the distributor networks that you're also working with to sell your products.
Yeah.
I have my main background is in digital marketing. I did digital marketing at this software startup, and then at this large global company, and so it was all about testing and emails and optimization and all of this stuff. I came into this role, guns blazing, expecting to execute at the same level. I didn't really realize was that yes, we're a large global company, but the volume of product that we're moving is much lower. Yeah. And that means that every unit that is moved is much more meaningful. Yeah. And every unit that is moved requires that much greater coordination across all of the people in that kind of buyer journey. Yeah. So, and you do that by building relationships and
ask questions, right? I think
exactly
right. Yeah. Asking all the questions, even though maybe some of the answer, it's always great to ask another one. If in cross-functional teams, I think, because everybody see it from their side of the table, right? And if you ask all these, you will learn so much.
I think there's so much bad advice floating around out there right now. For some people, I've seen on like Instagram or LinkedIn, people like fake it till you make it, never let anybody. I'm like, throw that out the window. Yeah. This is the worst advice you could possibly get. Whenever you move into a company, especially if you're in a new industry, you're given a window. People expect you to know nothing. Yeah. And to me, that is one of the most powerful pieces of time that you can capitalize on. People don't expect me to know anything. I'm going to ask all the questions in the world. And at that moment, you just need to be a sponge and just absorb everything. Because at some point, people will expect you to start knowing stuff, right? Yeah. So I would say, that would be another great piece of advice is, whenever you first start, to your point, Santa, ask all the questions and don't be afraid of looking stupid.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And even I think in my past, I've been in a company for many years at a certain point, and then I was still asking questions, right? When we had this town hall meeting, and I was like, hopefully somebody in the background was like saying, "Oh, thank God Senna asked," because I didn't want to ask, right? No, but right. And I know I've been that person as well, where somebody else is asking, and I'm like, "Oh, thank God," right? Somebody did ask, right?
For sure. Yeah. If the
Yeah.
question is in your head, it is absolutely in someone else's head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, last question here. So if you have to, look back, right? If you look at yourself, Jacob, like 10 years ago, what kind of advice would you give yourself?
Oh man.
Yeah, I know it's a tough one.
I would reiterate the importance of tailoring how you're spending your time in your job, in your new job, in your existing job, according to the culture of the organization,
Yeah.
and the goals of the organization, and the, let's say, perceived pain points that leaders in the organization are most focused on.
Yeah.
So, it's easy to kind of look from a myopic view and say, okay, this is what I think needs to be done. This is how I think it needs to be done.
Yeah.
But really, this gets back to building those relationships, is understanding what other people care about and how you can help them overcome challenges that they perceive as challenges, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the most important things that I would have told myself back then, is just, be a little more cognizant of how your skills can align with other people's challenges and help them solve their challenges, and not so much focused on what you think needs to be done.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. It's a journey as well, right? I think and what you talked about earlier as well, like the start, stop, and keep doing, right? Maybe you use some other words, but it's so important to do that kind of reflection. And it's always easier after, right? When you're in the middle of it, it can feel like you're like climbing the mountain, right? But then when you're on the other side, you're like, oh, that was actually not as tough as I thought it was in the moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's been many, projects. It's whenever you're standing at the front end of it, it's like just almost like climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah.
But the best way to do it is just to get started. I mean, so many people will get, I don't want to call it analysis paralysis, but I would probably characterize it as, there's just so much to do. I don't know what to do, to get started. And whenever I feel like that, I make a list. And then you just start checking things off that list, and next thing you know, you're halfway done and you're blazing through it. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. So, Jacob, thank you so much. It was so exciting to hear about from the manufacturing, and especially from the marketing side as well. I love it. I love the storytelling. And I think there's so much that, bring the customer in front of the camera with the professional crew. I will have to agree on that one. Is going to support that customer, right? Because you will make that customer shine, but you so much as well of how actually to take that product to market as well, when they actually explain what it did for them. So
absolutely
sharing that.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's been a pleasure to being on your podcast. I really appreciate you having me on.
Thanks again for listening to this episode. I really appreciate you were here. And I would want to ask you a favor. Could you share this episode with somebody within the industry that haven't heard about the podcast? Thank you so much. And also go to leadershipmanufacturing.com, sign up for the newsletter. That's where we share when we have a new episode that drops, or if we actually have some great information that can make you a much better leader. So stay in the loop. We're not spamming you. It's a few emails and you will learn so much from them. So remember, stay curious, keep learning. See you next time.